All right, sorry, a teeny bit late. I mean, I think doing like blood DK like shuffles would be more fun than doing unholy DK shuffles. Is all I'm saying. All right, I gotta start this fucking grind. Let's see what we can do. FM for you mean real? UBRS is probably the best thing for me. Come on. UBS just chill. Is the main thing. UBS is very chill. It's Frost and Holy. I played in Holy. I don't think Frost was particularly viable and competitive to play this expansion. You could play it like in very limited scenarios, and it works on teams that are not prepared for it. But in competitive scenarios, you can't really play it. Basically, the more prep someone has into Frost, the worse it does. So it's great on ladder. It's great if you don't play someone 10, like, you know, it's not, occasionally on ladder you'd have situations where you'd play the same team 10 times. By like 3 or 4 wins in, the other team's gonna figure you out, because you'd basically have only one way to win. You just do the same thing every time, and maybe you improvise that a little bit, but it's the same rough plan, which is rough. Wait, sign with the sub 7 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Thank you. What the fuck? How did I not see that? That isn't allowed. So 268, we're kind of, as we do this, working on hopefully getting the goal for the next step as well. Hey, Nick. None of this stuff is sold in forever. Like, I try, but try as I might, this shit does not sell. I'll do Skull in a bit. I'm gonna try. Oh, this group might not even form. I could rerun Skola. I ran Skolo last night for a couple hours. UBRS only runs at a certain time of night is the issue, for the most part. So if I get this out of the way now, I can technically do Skolo later on. And then I can start doing my 0.5 quest, which the 0.5 quest is really fucking long. I don't know. Really fucking long from this point. No, I'm down. I'm in no rush. It's awesome that you're watching stream. I'm in no rush. I mean, these types of groups only run at this time of night. It's hard to run them later on in the night. So I'm happy to. You need the pieces to the last part in the raid. Yeah. But you have to, I think you have to turn in the tear piece inside the raid, if I'm not wrong. I think you turn in the piece inside UBRS when you, to the ghost to get the chest. There's like a ghost that spawns, and I think you turn to that person and get your tear inside the raid. So you have to have the tear to do the last part effectively. But yeah, you're right. I could do the UBRS and stuff on now. I don't think doing the tear 0.5 quest after is very tier 0 pieces. We're looking for like the beastalker pieces at the moment. So upgrade to 0.5. So in the dual tournament, I was farming. I was repeatedly farming Beatty for an epic chest, and that chest still exists, but the chest we're trying to get right now is kind of better. Yeah, that game. We did that because it was something we could do on our own. It was hard to get groups on hardcore for this type of content because you were afraid of dying. So for that tournament, it was hard to get groups for UBRS because it was like, I mean, some people did it, but usually for themselves. You had to go with like the specific people that were trying to get it. So there were a few people that go, like I think Sony, for example, got full. Like he tanked his own rounds for UBRS until he got his chest, and then did the full quest. But I didn't have that kind of connection for that time. So World Boss is coming out tomorrow as well, I think, right? Have they said about how they're going to work? Yeah, but when? Like, is the question, like at which time of day type thing? Like, is there a specific time they spawn? Do they spawn at random times like they would normally do? What are the 40 braces quest part? I haven't done the quest past the point that I'm at now, pretty much. No, I've done like the DM farm, but that's kind of it. Braces and flask. Where are those from? BRS moms. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge deal. Presumably I will buy the last piece probably, and I will continue the quest line tonight, but it'd be nice to get one of the items. Like the UBRS one, you feel very like confined. It'd be nice to, like, Chuck's gonna realistically, he probably farms his legs tonight, and he probably has the full quest chain. So it'd be nice to be able to do that at the same time as he does. I don't know. Got a drop though, and the game doesn't seem to want to drop it, tragically. So PS sucks. How's that going? Not too bad. Enjoying it.
Where would you like to fly to? Be safe.
I mean, it's grindy, but that's what it always has been. I guess, you know, part of me is going to sit there and I think that going into SOD, I was hopeful that there'd be enough content to do. And having been in SOD now for a while, there is. I'm not even close. I'm like, you know, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 days, and I'm not even close to being done. And I think that's kind of the goal, right? In the other phases, you would just do Princess 50 times and you're done. You just do one instance and just farm it 10 times, get your whatever that currency was for killing the end boss, and you'd be finished. That was it. So like SOD phase 4 obliterates the other phases in terms of like what you can do. Yeah, I'm with you on that actually. I mean, I think personally, if SOD had been done a different way with less phases, I think it would have popped off even harder. But we don't know how the raid's gonna go, so I don't quite know what to expect of the raid side of things in phase 4. Dolph Unreal Engine? No, man. I don't think WoW would be very good. Maybe like not SoD. Hey, Grum. How you doing tonight, buddy? What's fixing on the 0.5 boss? This guy's gonna spam summon the 0.5 boss. That's fucking amazing. Holy shit. It drops, where is he? I'm looking at the wrong instance. The 0.5 boss drops this neck. Which I think is my best. I find it really difficult to believe that's not my best. I don't know if we're raiding tonight. A few people have expressed interest in not raiding tonight, which I can respect considering we're going back to back. So I think maybe spacing the runs out. I would say, you know, optimal spacing would probably be like Tuesday, Friday, or so, or Saturday. I would like to do 2 runs, and I think everyone would too, but we'll like figure it out how we're gonna space them out. Nice, Chrome. Have you continued with your prot set? I'm gonna do some blood stuff tonight, I think, if I can get lucky in this. Beta just isn't quite active enough. I don't know how to make it active. There's probably a certain time it's active. You can do scomes, but the scomes are just like very one-shotty and easy, I guess. Shuffles on beta are very fun, but they're somewhat scarce. Blood DK better. I'll put that on live because at least I can do it at night. I can do live. I can do blood shuffles all night. Oh, I mean, blood doesn't heal on beta, from what I understand. They just know if everyone's healing. Mike has not gotten back to me. I'll message him again, but yeah, I imagine he wants Glad. It'd be awesome to do that. I also want to play with Wexa, but I haven't really get in contact with him. Although I don't have great classes. My DH is not crazy good. It's a problem. Like I just haven't played retail this season since all my characters except for my Death Knights are in like week 4 gear. Because it became very, very clear to us that we weren't playing DH and competitive stuff. Like we narrowed down our comps pretty quickly and competitive this season. So almost all my characters were just shelved, and I was only playing DK for the last couple weeks. Like, it was pretty clear DK was good. Like, when they buffed DK, I just started spamming DK games. Which is funny because we didn't even realize DK was good until like 1 week, like the day before. We weren't convinced we wanted to play Death Knight in that tournament until the literal day before. After Hunter, we played Hunter Munken, and it didn't work into DH Munken. And after that was when we changed to Rogue DK. We're trying on retail? Very dependent on what Chuck wants to do. Zoe had zero interest? Yeah. Yep. That's the big issue. Weirdly, I feel like Ryan might be interested. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like the lower might be okay with like an acid push. No, it should dice really fast. The runs aren't slow by any means. The tier 0 is just really hard, like, difficult to farm. If you're not a little bit lucky. But I'm very good. Oh. I guess I'm very good when I actually get my gear. I'm decently good. But my time invested, I'm not as good as I should be, and neither is Av. True straight dropped. We don't care about it. For what we done. Oh, this boss. I respect it, Sumi. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a pretty tough. If you're like literally day trading seems like such an impossibly difficult job to do well. You're incentivized to be very active, right? If you want to make, if you want to make good money without just getting kind of like, you know, being like, you know, in on a giant stock before, like being Nvidia, pro Nvidia, like, you know, 2 years ago or something. If you're not doing that, then you're incentivized to be very active and trade on like speed, and you're just not really, it's like super unlikely that you're gonna win doing that, right? For like a retail investor, I feel like you have to hold, like buy and hold, compared to do like agile trading. What is going on now? Okay, you get put in that big pack. So he drops a reel. Wait, no, he doesn't. He can drop a reel. It's weird that he doesn't though, because he's actually a real boss. Yeah. We always main DK when we can. Now's one of the kind of few times where it's been easy to do. I won't main it if it's not good, but currently it looks very like they've done a good job with it in Warthen. Oh, there's a reed. It's the first time I've seen a reed. It's exciting for someone, I think. Is it 28 damage? 29 damage. Yeah, that shit's kind of insane. Blood's been highly nerfed? I mean, I imagine all tank specs have been highly nerfed, have they not? They made healers, or made tanks more reliant on their healers, which is weird because I see a lot of people criticizing it. And it's crazy how retail's gone in that sense. Like I don't think tanks being the main healer for themselves is necessarily the best design. I don't see it as a bad thing personally. I know that people are like really upset about it. The concept of it is very like in line with what you expect of an MMO though, right? Yeah, it's just relying on your teammates. That's not a bad thing. And maybe that means that more Mythic Plus runs will fail because you can't just do all the healing to yourself. But yeah, like you're taking away some player power, but you're like I don't know. I mean, that's just how the game has been. Like, historically speaking, most expansions, tanks are reliant on their healers. Well, actually, maybe not most expansions. I suppose this current model exists in maybe Legion, maybe WoD, but like pre-WoD, uh-oh. Is a trap back there? So I'm just sitting in Feign because see my trap back there? It's active. I have to sit in Feign until it goes away. Or lag or shit. Oh. Uh-oh. I moved up. Oh, it's actually a good amount. Fucking trap back there, man. It didn't aggro until later. I can handle it, I guess. Not that big of a tool. I hate hunter traps. There's not more, is there? That's fine. They'll be fine. Not that crazy. It does pull the extra pack behind, which is good, but so it's not ideal. I got an extra 2 trash pulls back there. Is it a trap now? I did not. Is it on there now? An hour ago. Trap launch will no longer. Oh, it's PvP change. Wait, trap launch will no longer want frost trap. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. Wait, is that why it's not throwing? Man, that doesn't actually change anything except in PvP. Hey, Dozy. So you can't throw a frost trap, you just have to throw random freezing traps? Nah, they actually hotfixed that. It explains a lot. So you can't throw these anymore. That explains how I did that earlier, and yeah. Okay, that explains how that one missed. I mean, you had left there, Ev. I mean, it's not a damage enough of any type. You just like throw your you throw your fucking your freezing, and you're good. I did. It was the last one I did as well. For some reason it feels sketchy to land a freezing trap, but in reality it's no different. Nothing new there. Are you just spamming skull at the moment, Av? You're an org. Gotcha. Have you done much time today so far? How much have you done? I keep making a mistake with that. LC2 as Vanguards? Yeah, so if you're playing as LC2 as Vanguards, the easiest path to winning is by far killing Shaman. It actually makes you take less damage. So the first thing is when you start attacking, when you train their Shaman, you're making them Cyclone and Fair you, and both of those things are not just spamming damage. What you don't want to do is attack their Moonkin or attack their Warlock and just let them sit there and they don't even peel as much. The Shaman just spam heals and you just get to a point where you can't play the game anymore and you have to run away. So that's what you don't want to do. Certain maps force you to do that, so you have to like play with an open mind in that sense. But for the most part, your game plan is to force them to peel you by going Shaman. And then in terms of how you would play that, going Shaman, the goal is to not use any trinkets, bubble, etc. getting to the Shaman. The game doesn't start until you both connect, and once you both connect, you rush. So like what that means is you don't mind getting CC'd on your way to the Shaman. You have one really good crack at Shaman, but you don't want to waste your you do not want to waste, like, so for example, if you like get to Shaman and get Cyclone right away, I mean, I guess if you get to, I guess that you might trinket it, I suppose, but like you certainly wouldn't trinket on the way to him. Like if you're not quite there, you haven't quite committed any cooldowns, at that point you aren't trinketing. You're trinketing once the game begins. Once you both connect to Shaman, and then once you both connect to Shaman, you're playing it super aggro at that point. You're bubbling offensively, possibly you're like trinketing offensively, you're shelling offensively, you're liching offensively, you're using everything at that point. So that you don't hate getting fed in your way, you don't mind getting cloned in your way. But once you both connect, the game begins and you race. If you play on like Blades, it's different as well. Blades obviously is dog shit, but giving yourself the best chance to win against that involves not trinketing too early. Like you trinket once you've got Gargoyle out, once you've got your pressure rolling, at that point you have one good push. But yeah, I've seen people that it's sort of a twos strat almost, right? Like in twos is the same thing. You kind of like commit everything and you try and create one big window and you sable your stuff for that window, and that's the goal with fighting LSC2 as well. It's creating a big window for yourself to attack. So we have the summon boss, right? This is kind of exciting. This is actually a pre-boss boss for me. Very big pre-boss boss for me. If you get blades, I still think I do the big push on Shaman at the start, but you're looking to obviously like grip the Shaman down if you can. He's gonna probably play on the middle pillar and it's annoying. Rebus Mark is Rebus Mark's the, is that the Frost DK thing, or is that the other thing? Frost DK thing's not hitting that hard? That's interesting. There's some sort of mechanic here. What was the mechanic? It was like mana drain him? Oh fuck, I gotta mana drain him. I don't have mana drain on my bars. Ah, where is it? It's actually important. I think you avoid, I don't remember. Are we just burning it? I think you just mana drain it. Someone's mana burning it now too. It basically should never cast its no, it's unfortunate. Does it drop a thing though? Doesn't drop a real. He drops really good stuff. Like really good stuff. Are we running? Hope we run this again. I really hope we run this again, because getting to farm that neck would be sick. I mean, it still might drop. It still could. Who voted 57k on yes? I wouldn't recommend that necessarily. I'm curious to try Frost. I don't expect much of Frost. Its design hasn't changed in a way that seems interesting to me, but I will say that the Reaper build did seem, or Deathbringer did seem more interesting than the. But summoning 4 horsemen on your Apex seems so, or on your Frostworm seems so crazy. It's just a pity that you have to use it as a stun as well. So like the talent that makes it a stun seems so mandatory for it, and it's awkward in terms of flow. Horseman's cool, but the whole tree is passive. Well, kinda. I mean, you have an active to summon all 4 of them. The problem is that active, like you have to use that active at a really awkward time, right? So your Frostman's Fury, like you don't want a Frostman's Fury at the start of your Pillar of Frost to summon them all. That seems troll as fuck. You want to use it after a real stun. Like if they made the stun longer, but it's not a very good stun. So to like have to start your burst with Frostman's Fury is not really what you want to do, and that's currently how you have to do it. So the point at which you press the button kind of sucks, but. Nah, I keep fucking that up. All right, let's see a drop. Instead of Oboe Storm though, I won't say that much. They didn't say like how the world boss schedule was gonna work, right? This is it? You voted no, man. I literally see you voting no. Is that some sort of crazy reverse psychology shit? Oh, I see. Oh, they cleared this pretty fast. I assume I'm gonna kite because I can't really kite. You left the pack up, which makes it sketchy, but I'll try to not. They want to just. Yeah, roaches will run into the packs if you aggro them. There's a roach there actually. If you aggro that mid boss fight, it actually runs into this pack and aggroes the orcs. For some reason, in this version of the game, rats are on the same faction as orcs. I don't quite know how that works, but they literally social each other for that reason. That's kind of how it works. Which is wild.
Ah, evil which summoned the beast stalker's tunic from the darkest, deepest reaches of hell. Come now.
All right. He summoned it, so it will come. That's how that works. Nope. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. You already have it. It's all good. Not a huge deal. No big deal. I mean, I don't mind doing anything with this group because they're actually doing that summon boss. Being able to try and farm the neck with this group would be sick. Because that neck is way better than my other options. It's like 2 extra agi and 1% hit. Yeah, I think it's better than other options. I don't know. I don't see anything being better than that. So I've now seen every single chest drop except for Beastmaster. At this point, I've seen every other one drop. So there's that, right? I'm only like three pieces in. I haven't gone deep into the chain. I just wanted to farm all the pieces. Honestly, I did not expect farming all the pieces to be difficult at all. I really didn't. Nah, hardcore I just did up to where I'm at. I got shoulders. I found the first 6. I didn't farm helm or chest. I felt like doing the summon boss on hardcore, like for myself. So I didn't mind doing UBRS and the other bosses on like normal hardcore, like with Frontier, because they were like way sweatier. But the quality of PvE players on the hardcore realm was actually quite a bit lower. Like people were dying to the summon quests a lot more often. So I felt like it was sketchy to do any of the like a lot of people died on the Skolo boss and a lot of people died on the UBRS boss, and it was like it didn't feel like people were as switched on as like Frontier was. Frontier was like, I mean, Frontier still died to that shit, but it was way worse on the hardcore realm, where you didn't have quite the same number of PV players around. Yeah, 50 is crazy though. I can't afford that. I still need 12 to buy my trinket. I'm gonna have to farm it normally. There's no way I can do it the other way around. I mean, even then, we had deaths doing all that shit in Frontier. So, like the fact that it was sketchy in Frontier to do that stuff made it like, I mean, there was so many people that had like really insane, like, you know, at the point that you're at, that you could have done that stuff on the hardcore, on the what was the Makara tournament realm, you were already very geared. So you already had a character that was more geared than the majority of people. Only like 2 people in the tournament, I think maybe only 1 person had full 8 piece. Maybe it was Sony and Snuts that had full 8 piece. Yeah, I'm pretty sure when you do that summon boss, you have to turn in to him. There's a ghost that spawns afterwards, and it was like one per kill or something from memory. Like people had to re-kill it multiple times. That boss in particular, you saw on that though. If you fuck it up, you have way more damage on hand, so the boss is way easier. But if he gets 100 energy, I'm pretty sure he chain lightning and one-shot someone. I think it's instant. Someone dies instantly if it happens. And then he starts the fight with full mana, so you have to like be really fast with it. But he can randomly chain lightning one-shot someone, or 2 people, and then at 30% he starts his berserk, and people die to that berserk as well. He just starts spamming shadow bolts. Are they nerfed? Deathstrike can now only heal the DK for a percentage of damage taken from a given damage event once. Oh shit. Oh wow. That is a fat fucking nerf to the way that Deathstrike works. What that means is your healing window is entirely different. So previously, you know, I'll give you an example of how it works in PvP. In BFA. In BFA with GPI, a mage would GPI you 3 times, let's say, right? So you've taken 100% of your damage, and you would, every time you death strike for the next 5 seconds, you would heal as though you'd taken 100% of your health and damage or more, right? So your death strike window is huge. But now what happens is you get GPI'd 3 times and you death strike twice. The first one heals you as though you took 100% of your health, and the second one ignores all of that. And now it heals for nothing. So you have one big death strike, and then you have no death strike. You have to wait for your window to build up again. So I actually imagine that death strikes or DKs will actually create a weak aura for that, to track how big the window is, and not. You basically wouldn't want to death strike back to back anymore. You want to like death strike, pause, let the window build up again, and then death strike, and you can't It's actually interesting. But yeah, they also nerfed null magic, but not by much. I mean, Deathstrike isn't crazy. In PvP, it's usually healing them for the minimum anyway. But it's still interesting. Damn. DKs took fat fucking nuffs. Like, what a glory? I'm not sure. I mean, for DK, it's existed the other way around for forever, pretty much, since that damage window came in. I guess DKs can still have pretty good self healing. They can't consistently react to damage taken. Basically, the change will be this: you get a big window, you heal yourself, and then your healer has to keep you alive until that window builds up again, and then you heal yourself again. So it'll have like a back and forth that I think will be interesting. Again, you're gonna build like a dependency on your healer, which is not a bad change, but it is a change. Apparently this hunter doesn't need tear. Curious as to what else you need from here if it's not tear though. Oh, they buffed this sword by so much. It went from a 3.5 speed to a 3.8, and it has 24 strength on it as well. I mean, it definitely matters. I mean, it's gonna, like, the change is kind of foundational to why you bring a Death Knight. So I imagine you won't necessarily see Death Knights in raids. It definitely matters because in a like a raid scenario, you just try not to heal your tanks currently. You try and let the tanks heal themselves, and then heal his DPS more. So I think it has a pretty large change on the tank order because there are tanks that already don't function around self healing, right? A lot of tanks that don't function around self healing. So in that sense, it's definitely different. Push retail threes. I don't know if the team wants to. Unfortunately, I only really have 2 good Death Knights on retail. I don't really have anything else that's good. I don't currently think they want to. I mean, I think Ryan possibly might be interested because the lower. I don't know if he's got rank 1 on the lower character, but all tanks have a decent amount of sustain in PvE right now. Are there any classes you think, Kojak, that are less affected by that change? Like, I see all the DK ones. I don't see. There's reworked all of them, right? Vengeance. They nerfed Stam on Vengeance. They nerfed damage taken on Vengeance. They nerfed Soul Cleave healing by 20%, but that's not that big. The DK change seems way more substantial than that. I mean, they did. Holy fuck, they nerfed tanks, man. Tanks are. It's like crazy because it's like 10 lines of nerfs to every tank spec, but I do feel like their healing is less substantial in themselves, right? So let's see. Guardian. They nerfed Frenzied Regen. They nerfed their damage. There's a whole bunch of damage taken now, so which is kind of just like all like in line with each other. I don't know. The DK one seems more substantial still from a self-healing standpoint because you haven't got the ability to press 2 with anymore. Right. So now DKs will take a big hit. They'll heal themselves once, and then they get hit again, and then they just flop. Right. So it looks like DKs are much more nerfed. From like, I don't think you'll see blood until they figure out how they want to do things. They'll just need to buff, like, you know how all the other tanks, like DKs took, they take more damage like everyone else. Oh wait, no, they actually buff their mid a little bit. Orange shield increases 100% of strength was 80%. They seem to realize. Realistically, they probably won't get it right away, but DKs will have to not be like, you can't rely on just getting smacked and taking 50% more damage than everyone else anymore, right? So we'll see. I think in PvP it probably has a pretty minimal impact unless damage is crazy spiky in PvP. But very rarely do DKs really get to take advantage of big damage windows. Against Rogue Mage now, you'll like get spiked and then you'll heal yourself once and then you'll get killed afterwards. So it probably matters in Rogue Mage. But you obviously have Shell and stuff too to help build that window again. I think in general, the change is not bad though. I think the game, like, being like, you know, you look at your healing done, and this is the case even in Cataclysm for me on DK. Like, you do twice the heal is healing to yourselves. I'm not sure if that'll be the case with those changes. I would imagine it won't be. So I don't know whether it'll be at or below Cata level. But I think an MMO incentivizing. This guy does have chest, right? Please tell me you have chest. You say it doesn't need to. But what do you need? Or I'm sketched out. This guy says he doesn't need tab, but he doesn't have chest. Hunter's got like everything but chest. I'd probably dip. I mean, he's obviously put a shitload of time. He's a double dollar end. Yeah, you might be right, Av. Well, the base one is a shitload better than that, yeah. He is a melee hunter, so I don't know. He said he apparently didn't need it, but it really does look like he needs it. It is kind of hard to find groups for this stuff, understandably. But I don't see what else you could possibly want other than it. Oh, we can 9-man this anyway. We can 8-man this shit. You don't need 10. We're 8-manning it yesterday without any trouble. Realistically, it's 7-manable. Honestly, possibly 5-manable. Just slow, right? Can't but even a 27-month resub, man. How have we been, buddy? I might take a little break for a little bit here as well in a sec, guys. I'll be on like super late tonight anyway. But we might take a like hour or so. Being a WoW break? I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I guess I'm sort of similar in that sense, but like not from just from retail. We haven't been on since. We're going back soon though. I mean, a lot of people took breaks from retail this season. This season was the activity on retail is like crazy low compared to Death Strike change affects all specs. Yep. And it's pretty. I mean, it doesn't matter in PvP as much, just based on the fact that you aren't usually getting big windows. My guess is a weak aura will be what people end up using for it. I think you can probably have a weak aura that like figures out your window and shows the reset to give you a value for it. So basically, you take them, you get a win. I think they need to adjust the speed at which the window builds, maybe. But we'll see. I mean, realistically, that change to Blood DK is way bigger than the changes to other tank specs, or to Death Knight in general, is way bigger than the other tank specs. And they're going to have to figure out how to make Death Knight not complete shit with it. Because currently DKs are designed around taking an absolute fuckload of damage, but then being able to heal through it. And post-change, I just think that a good player on Death Knight will probably do okay and be able to prepare around it. But I think bad players are going to get ruined with that change. Like you're gonna press it and then you're gonna like, yeah, you're just gonna annihilate it by it. You'll just Death Strike and then a Global Light, you'll Death Strike again and it'll do nothing. So I think that change is one that I think it doesn't affect PvP players as much. And the majority of situations don't affect PvP players, but it will definitely create spots where Death Knight tanks just die because their window resets at a bad time. Like if you honestly, probably the most tragic part about that, in my opinion, is how that plays out in terms of gameplay. So my concern is this. Right now, you just press Death Strike rotationally. You don't have to worry about resetting your window. But let's say you Death Strike at 100% health and then take Spike. Now your window's reset and you're dead. So what does that encourage you to do? Does that encourage you to not press rotational Death Strikes? Do they have to give you a different ability? They almost need to give you a separate ability entirely called, like, you know, not Death Strike, that doesn't use your window. Because, like, basically from a damage standpoint, you can't play your class properly, right? You have to choose between damage and healing. You would just randomly, you know, feed and press Death Strike at a bad time. Your window's gone at a really bad time because you're using it as part of your damage rotation. So the damage rotation and the tanking rotation are now at ends with each other. So they need to give you a separate ability that doesn't heal, but still uses running power and does the same damage. So you can preserve your damage window. I think that's probably the biggest gameplay issue they have with that. And I don't know what they can do with that, give them a new ability. I don't know if Kojak is here and agrees with that or not, but it seems like a problem. No, I was just saying with the Blood DK change, I feel like Death Knights that just do their rotation normally are gonna randomly use their, like, you Death Strike at just to keep your earning power lower, right? So I guess my concern is, you know, you get to a spot where you're 100% health and 100% earning power, you press Death Strike, it does a shitload of healing, but you're full HP, and now you take Spike and you can't heal. Like, you'll reset your window at really troll times. So the question is, like, if you're a good tank, do you just not Death Strike now until you take Spike? How do you efficiently do your rotation in a way that doesn't just throw away your healing window? I guess maybe they could have it so it doesn't trigger the healing unless you... I mean, you're going to continually clear your window. Your window is giant if you've taken a few hits. Yeah, I think people. I mean, I think good tanks will hold, and I think bad tanks will just die because they'll press Death Strike to like do their rotation as normal. Previously, it just kind of worked with your rotation. It didn't matter if you used Death Strike and you're full HP. But post change, I mean, it just goes at odds with how mastery works. I don't know. I think they'll probably have to reiterate on that, on how they do things. Maybe have it so that like you like, I almost wonder if the way that your healing window is gonna have to work is that it doesn't trigger unless you go below a certain, like the window won't clear unless it actually goes below a certain health threshold. So like if you drop below 50% health, maybe it triggers a large heal. But if you use Death Strike above 50% health, that it won't actually deplete your entire window at once. Surely, I mean, there's more to it than that, but the change is still good. I mean, the idea of the change is still good. I think tanks being reliant on healers is just the way things should be. I think having to have a healer actively tank heal. I don't know if healers have had to actively tank heal in a while, right? I feel like tanks kind of most take care of themselves, and people spot heal tanks. But having to have like a healer assigned to actually tank heal is not bad. They're not trying to make it spiky. I mean, currently the changes look like they're only nerfs for the most part, right? Look at the damage changes to Death Knight. Like DKs still look like they're taking, like every tank got nerfed, and like so DKs got overall nerfed. Maybe they got nerfed a little bit less than other classes, and there's a slight buff to their armor. But I don't. Oh, they give them. You get a buff. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think DKs are gonna get fucked pretty hard by that change, but it probably just takes multiple iterations to get them to a point that they aren't weaker. But that's okay. I mean, being a weaker tank class isn't weird anyway. Like you always have a class that is not doing as well. I think DKs are realistically gonna be in that spot for a little while. The other big thing with blood, I think, and relative to other tanks, that kind of sucks a little bit, is mobility. And previously, them taking like just being able to deal with like being this meat shield that just took damage and healed through it, kind of made up for that. But like you look at like a Avengers DH and Mythic Plus and stuff, right? They can actually avoid. They can actually like leap and avoid damage. And Death Knights just can't escape damage. I think every other tank class has a damage avoidance like. Maybe not Feral actually. I guess Guardian's in a similar spot. We'll see. I hope they're okay because I actually wanted to. Like I think that next expansion, like Volts are one of my favorite parts of retail, right? And Volts no longer affect PvP, so I'm planning to do a good amount of Mythic Plus to try and have Volts for the first couple weeks. And yeah, I'm hoping to blood DK. But you just can't even leap. You can't actually avoid damage with mobility as DK, right? You've got any mobility cooldowns to use. You have like Wraith Walk potentially, but that's it. That's in comparison to like Infernal Strike as a Demon Hunter, or like Roll as a monk, or like you just have ways to like pivot and avoid damage for small windows. Again, I guess Guardian Druid maybe is an exception, although Guardian technically can still wild charge to like teammates if you're like super good with it, I guess. I mean, even that wouldn't be that crazy. Like 100% sprint means you take damage on the way out anyway, so it doesn't matter that much, I guess. I mean that like an absolute mobility cooldown that like leaps you even if only a few steps is 100% DR when you're out, right? Like if I'm like a monk and I roll to like here while they're running back, like I'm taking 0% damage for a few seconds. It's like a full avoidance mechanic. If I use like leap as a warrior, 0% damage. If I intervene as a warrior, 0% damage. Infernal strike as a DH, 0% damage. Like you have ways to like control intake for just a second. And blood doesn't have that. Even with 100% sprint, you don't have that because it takes a couple seconds to get out of melee. Like being able to actually like, you know, go to lethal damage range and then escape for a second is pretty sick. And you don't need to do that as DK because you just have healing, right? You just are like, okay, I can duel better than other specs. As in I can sit in there and I can just like take the damage and heal through it. So we'll see. Either way, I think the overall change is good. I think the direction's good. Is that big for the warrior? Is that what he needed? It looks like that's what he needed. He's roll neat on them. Class trees for Frost and Holy for PvP isn't really changing. I mean, the Frost ones, Frost in general didn't excite me very much. And my biggest problem with Frost was that the Deathbringer spec didn't feel like it had enough punch. But apparently they changed that today. Deathbringer didn't feel like you look at your damage done and it was like it didn't really have a substantial impact on it, I guess, but maybe it does now with mastery affecting it. As for Riders felt like the Riders felt really OP when they're out. My issue with Frost and Riders was that you had to press Frostman's Fury at the start of your go, so your rotation would go something like Pillar of Frost, Frostman's Fury to spawn all Riders, and then you start your rotation. And that felt very clunky and not very good and not very clean. Felt clunkier than it did on retail. But it was really, the thing that was interesting about it was that was the best way of doing it. Like that was the best spec because the Riders were so substantial and what they did for you was so substantial. It did not feel like a way that you'd want to ever do your rotation. Like if I'm playing Windwalker Death Knight or if I'm playing like, you know, Dev DK, I don't want to have to use my dragons, my Frostman's Fury at the start of my rotation. Because my rotation's already so fucking like condensed into that small window of Pillar of Frost. So now you just have an extra button you have to press before everything else, and that's not very nice, right? It felt really bad. And Holy, on the other hand, is sick. And Holy is amazing. Right? They've just made good changes for Unholy. I think both trees, although Riders obviously like the effect of the Riders is just so substantial that it doesn't matter. Effectively. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a lot of keys, Sunny, because again, that's the only way to get your. I don't mind that at all. Like a lot of people will complain like crazy about that change. I think. Like I think a lot of people right now are like Fuck yeah, there's no need to do your weekly vault. Vault's fucking sick. Vault is amazing. I love Vault. So I will definitely be doing Mythic Plus to mine. Well, the hero tree is somewhat dependent on just how powerful the heroes are, the horsemen are. I mean, a lot of times people like see a change and they think it's in their benefit, and I think personally them taking PvP Vault away, PvPers think is in their benefit right now. Currently, they're like, wow, that's nice. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But in reality, what's happening is that it's actually in the benefit of PvE players that had to make a choice between PvP and PvE, and the PvE players just get the benefit now. Only, purely, it is straight up beneficial to PvE players and not beneficial to PvP players, and I think PvP players haven't figured that out yet because they haven't looked at it. But that change seems so blatantly just purely in the benefit of one but not the other. It is just a change that is there to make things make more sense for PvE players. No one's saying they're stupid. I just don't think that like they have necessarily looked into how it'll work. I'm not saying they're dumb. Jesus, man. Why are we shitting on PvP players like that? Did that hunter actually show up and leave on Rend? Bro, what the fuck? Wait, what? Wait a second. Bro, that guy was a scumbag. We left on Beast. Bro, that is sketchy as fuck. That guy was scamming super fucking hard. What a sketchy fuck, man. What was he after? I wonder. I really should have this bound. You can actually genuinely wipe this boss if you don't monitor it effectively. Yeah, I saw a lot of people playing Terrasan. I think it's partially sponsored though, isn't it? I thought Terrasan kind of like reached out and sponsored both Echo and Liquid to try and. It's kind of a smart idea from that point of view. All right, drop the neck. Neck. Didn't drop the neck. All right. I'll go fuck myself. It's all good. I don't think they partially own it. I think they were just paid to, from what I understand, they were just paid to promote it. And I think it's very smart for them to do that because you're reaching out to, you're tapping into that massive community of people that like the world first stuff. And you're introducing to a game that's like, you know, primarily PvP or PvE rather. I thought it was smart. All right, so like I said, we're gonna take a break after this for like maybe an hour or two. Today's stream will still, I mean, it's already been 2 hours, but today's stream will still be hella long. It'll just be resuming at like 11 or so my time. And it'll go for it'll be like 12 hours from that point, to be honest, as well. Just figured I mean, I got 2 UB restaurants. I'm gonna eat dinner with Aaron. And yeah, if you didn't see already, we postponed raid. Ryan wanted to postpone it to any other day, pretty much. And I know that you weren't super interested either. But I would like to do the second run still. It just doesn't make sense to do them back to back anymore, with Kata winding down a bit. I think having to like the like kind of like the bulk of the night used on like the early part of the night used on that 2 nights in a row is probably not super efficient anymore. Did I miss that trap? Heck, how the fuck did I miss that? Did it resist? The fuck? Like it didn't. That orb pulled another pack and instantly killed that guy. That is not a feigned death. That is a dead person. It would be very convenient if it dropped now. Mostly because this is actually one of the pieces that I would actually use immediately. Like the helm is actually an upgrade to this helm. Short term. But the chest is just 9 more edgy or something than this one. It's just straight up an upgrade. I'm dead as fuck, man. My feign resisted again. Nope. Well, we tried. Again. End of season stuff? I don't know. I mean, I don't think Chuck has any interest in doing it. So probably not in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I only have 2 characters that actually have any gear. Shuffle? Dude, Shuffle looks dead. Am I crazy? Have you seen how, I mean, I'm sure you've seen how people are getting spots in Shuffle. It isn't at all? Bro, it is unbelievably dead. Am I insane? The number of spots in Death Knight or any class that I've seen is reduced by more than Arena's reduced by. Arena's going from 200 to 80, and Shuffle looks like it went from about 21 per spec to 7. Like Shuffle looks Shuffle looks so dead in terms, because that's a direct look into how many people play the game. Like that is revealing the total aggregate number of people playing, and it looks like they lost more players than Arena did. That looks less healthy than, like, it is fucked. There is rating in Shuffle, but they didn't reset MMR, so you know what I mean. Like it's like they fucked up bad with Shuffle, man. If I'm reading this the way that it looks, Shuffle is in need of, there's like 4 spots for warriors and shit. That means that, like, it went from like 20 something to 4. Yeah, but it's just showing you there are people playing it at high ratings because there's no MMR reset. So it obviously works because there's 800 or 900 rating of inflation in there. You literally have last season's inflation plus this season's inflation. So it functions, sure. But the bulk of your players aren't playing. Like those numbers are tragic. It should not be the case. You should not only have, if you go to Arms Warrior, there's like 4 spots. It's fucked. Like there's no one, that means, if you basically what that tells you the rank 1, the number of rank 1 positions in Shuffle tells you the total number of players. You can multiply it out. That's the 0.1. So you can multiply what the total 99.9% is outside of that, right? It tells you they aren't there. The players didn't quit at the high end. They're still there. They're playing with inflation. It works fine. There's still high rated players playing Shuffle, but it tells you the other 99.9% dipped. And that is really bad because the entire point of Shuffle, the entire intended goal of Shuffle is to have 0 friction to play. So those are the guys that should be there. You would expect I would have always expected Shuffle to be relatively healthy for the other 99.9%. So the fact that they aren't there tells me the system is broken, and it tells me that they need to figure like some other approach out. Like that is so tragically bad. Like I expected Shuffle to always be pretty healthy because of 0 friction. Like that means that people aren't queuing up in general. And I'm guessing it's queue time related. But you have to understand that there are huge trade-offs to have that system in the game in terms of like the health of the rest of the game. Season 4 competes with many other versions of WoW. Yeah, kinda. Not really in terms of arena and stuff. For the most part, it should only compete with Kata on some level. And I don't think Kata is super healthy either. But what I mean is that like I would always expect the total number of spots to be healthy in Shuffle. Because again, that is telling you how many people playing at low ratings. It should have 0 friction, so people should play Shuffles at low ratings, but they aren't. Which just tells me that it's like fundamentally unhealthy for the game. Like they need to, yeah, they need to cook with it. I think that is a sign of major failure to me with how that system functions. You should always expect to see more relative spots in shuffle than in threes because it's zero friction, and you're seeing more activity in threes relatively speaking to shuffle. Threes only tanked, but 99% in threes only tanked by what, 60%, 70%, but shuffle tanked by like it is like 15 to 20% of what it was going from season 3 to season 4. $30,000 games. That's rounds. 30,000 rounds, right? Which is 5,000 shuffles in 24 hours, which is pathetic. Across all rating brackets. That's pretty low, yeah. I mean, again, it comes down to the bulk of players aren't there. 2878, 11 spots, and the most popular spec in the game is 11 spots. That represents 99.9% of your, or yeah, that's your 0.1. It's, I don't know. You don't think that the 30-minute queue times will just eventually grind the game down then? Or more than 30-minute queue times, I guess? I see it as a straight net negative. I think that it is the equivalent of like somebody selling a toaster that burns you every time you use it. Like yes, people can put up with it. I'm sure that some people are okay with it. But you're basically selling a product that people will complain about by default. In the best case scenario for shuffle, you will complain about it. Why people play it then? Well, my argument here is, considering how fucking tanked it is as a system, that the people that are silently quitting are the problem, right? People play it, sure. Some people are okay with just having a kind of a shitty product out there. The thing with Kata, what's the problem with Kata? What part of Kata is broken fundamentally? You have to find teammates to play with, sure. You think Kata's healthy? How is it unhealthy? I haven't heard an argument as to why it's unhealthy. I mean, people disagree with like maybe triple DPS. You're telling me 5,000 games of shuffle in 24 hours is Omega dead and Kata's healthy? I think Kata Arena is relatively active, but at the same time, I mean, it's a much smaller community of players playing it, right? Kata's a smaller subset. My argument with shuffle is that it has zero friction to play. None. You just press Q and you can queue into it. Zero friction, right? My argument with Kata, my argument with shuffle is that that 30-minute queue times will eventually force players to quit. My argument is that you're guaranteed, like I think that eventually you, like, basically you can queue shuffle day in, day out. Eventually you'll hit a landmine of queuing into a shuffle game after a long queue, having a really shitty experience, and then quitting the game. I think it's almost certain. Some players are very resilient to that type of thing, but I think eventually players will hit the landmine of having a bad experience and being like, why did I waste an hour doing this? And then quitting. And I think that number that is supported by how many people are not playing it now. You want to play threes because you don't play? Imagine you don't have to fall back on. That's talking about rank 1 pushing, man. That's a very specific activity. You said I'm going to push rank 1. That's the type that I've queued plenty of arena this season. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy retail arena. I've queued plenty of Cataclysm with or without Chuck. Those are totally different things. Queuing arena and queuing for rank 1 are different activities. Obviously, you're like that. only 0.1% of the game can go for rank 1. Right? Like queuing for end of season stuff is not the same thing as just queuing for fun or queuing in general. I personally think Shuffle as a product is not up to standards for a AAA company. Just straight up as a product. It shouldn't have ever shipped. Any system that has a 30-minute guarantee or at least a 30-minute queue time is just not up to standard for a AAA company to put out. No, I think Shuffle should be refactored. I think the idea of solo queue is great. I love the idea of solo queue. I think if in order to have a balanced version of solo queue, you have to have 30-minute queue times or random queue times. You don't even know where you're at in your queue, right? I think it is not worth having. That's not up to standard. I mean, again, imagine going to a theme park, going into a queue, and not knowing where you're at in the queue. Imagine you're standing in line for a roller coaster at like fucking, I don't know, Disney or something, right? But instead of being in queue, there's a curtain in front of you. You can't tell where you're at. You're just sitting there and you have no idea. You just, every time you go into the queue, you've got a blindfold on and you can't tell whether you're up. You don't even know what the ride's gonna be. You don't even know whether it's gonna be a good experience or a bad experience at the end of it. It is not an acceptable experience for a AAA company. It shouldn't exist. It can be a good experience. And if the queue times were fast, I bet it would be a great experience, like consistently enough. But it should be one round, or there should be bots as healers. As it stands right now, I don't think you can possibly have a game that has a 30-minute queue time for it, a random queue time for it. Just shouldn't exist. It's not up to standard. I think inevitably it will actually have a net negative effect on the game, because I think that people will inevitably quit when they have to deal with that as a baseline. At the starting point, you have to deal with 30-minute queues, and I think that is not acceptable. And I say that because the funny thing here we're talking about is we're like, okay, you know, the alternative is like having no one to play with. They didn't try a single thing with LFG. Not a single thing. There's zero change. They attempted nothing and they went with Shuffle. And I just don't think that's correct. I think there are a million different ways they could have improved LFG, and I think there's a million different ways they need to improve LFG for Mythic Plus as well. The big problem with LFG in WoW is that you can go into LFG and be stuck in LFG all day and have no actual real experience from it. And I think there are a million different ways they could have mitigated against that. So yeah, I don't know. Shuffle is I think one round would have been better because it would mitigate queue times if they're changing nothing with bots, and I think putting in PV bot healers would have been about comparable to getting like rep paladin or getting double prop paladin lobbies and stuff. Probably better, to be honest. Probably a better experience in double prop paladin healers. So they could have improved the queue times for people below certain ratings at least, which I think would have kept the game healthier. Like like, to be honest, you could definitely put in PV bots that do a good enough job for games below 800 2K. But no, I'm not against the idea of shuffle of solo queue existing. I think the idea of having frictionless queues is great, but I don't think shuffle is the answer. And I think they implemented shuffle without trying any other ideas. They didn't try anything else. They just put shuffle in and they're like, this is our solution, and it has these crazy problems, and they did nothing about it. And they can't. They realistically, the system is just too flawed. I think it shouldn't have made it past. It shouldn't have made it in the first place. I think it's just one of those things that isn't a good enough overall gameplay experience to justify its existence. But for this season, for me, I've done about 6 shuffles, and it took me about 10 hours to do. The vast majority of that time was just, I mean, obviously it was just sitting in queues. Nah, probably more than 10 hours. Wait, way more than 10 hours. What am I saying? I just sat like multiple 3-hour queues. Most of the time I just sit queues. It's a impossibly bad system to work with from my point of view. It wouldn't be bad if, I guess, if you reset, if you had your MMR like track your, like if you could, you would ruin everyone else's shuffles, but you would get fast queues up to your MMR maybe. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I'm 2200 or something, and queues are just impossibly long the whole time. Same thing last season as well. It just, the amount of investment you have to put in to get up to your rating is impossible. No, Shuffle's sick. Like the actual gameplay in Shuffle isn't my complaint, but I think that they have no actual reasonable solution for queues. There is no way to reduce queue time to an acceptable level. Basically, they tried that and players hated it. So they had a solution which was basically like at a certain point it just finds you a game and shoves you into a game, but then you get put in games where you are, so like they took and tried it in season 2. You get shoved into a game after like 15-20 minutes, so queue times are consistent at least. But then it puts you in a game where let's say you're 3.1k MMR and your teammates are like 2.8, 2.7, and you're guaranteed, unless you go 6-0 in that lobby, you lose rating or lose MMR. So you get queues, but you have basically, you're in a game that you can't win. And the same thing was happening for healers. Healers would get stuck in games where like one healer is high rated, one healer is low rated, and unless you 6-0'd, and even if you did 6-0, you get nothing. So you're just basically being shoved into games to make games pop. But yeah, I don't know. There's no way to create enough healers. It's just systemically fucked. I don't know. Yeah, bots are the play. Bots would be fine. Nah, you couldn't really do the comp thing, but you could definitely do bot healers, and that would just mean that queues are that would be healthy for bot healers. Would be very, very healthy for low rated players. Like it'd be, like, you could have bots healing up to 2k, and it probably would be the same rough experience because, you know, obviously you can just give the healers, you can give the bots a lot of extra healing, and the games would feel fine. I would imagine for most players. You just put orbs and shit on the ground, and players can run through and heal themselves, and that would just give you fast queues. And sure, people would rage the bots and stuff, but it would be about equivalent to what already happens if you queue 2 prop paladins in arena. You can double prop paladin queue arenas below 2k anyway. And when you get shoved into those games, you don't have a healer. They're just like basically triple DPS games anyway. So it'd be about the same experience as that. Maybe the experience would be different when I queue blood or something. And I might queue blood. I imagine the experience with blood is not bad. Well, no, if you queue blood, the reason why blood's not bad is that I can keep my MMR low enough that I can actually get queues. Like the highest rate of blood DK is at a point where there are probably queues 24/7, but I queue my death knight and I can get queues up until about 2 hours from now, and then I can't get queues the rest of the night. The queues just die out, and it becomes impossible to actually play the game. Inconsistency of several games intolerable between comps, maps, and players. Oh. Yeah, I mean... Yeah. I think there's a nice path to get progression as a player, but there's obviously long gaps between games. You can't get like, you can't string big sessions together. Going for rank 1 season 4. I don't know if I've got teammates for rank 1 push. I think this season's very, very contentious in terms of rank 1. There's about 80 spots instead of 200, so it's going to be a bumpy ride for the last couple days. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do in the end. I'd like to. I think Chuck. I mean, I think Chuck is very much not interested. I think he's very interested in SoD right now. So in that sense, probably not. But anyway, give me one sec, guys. I think we're gonna stop here for a little bit. All right, we're gonna go for a little bit. I'll be back later on tonight, in probably like an hour and a half or so. But thank you very much for watching. I'll be around for late tonight anyway. It's already been 2.5 hours, but I'll be around for a lot longer than that. So I'll be around for another 12 tonight. But thanks for watching, guys. Thank you to Ken for the 27-month resub and Sunny for the sub at the start of the stream. I'll see you guys a little later on tonight.